chocolate chip oat muffins. I wanted to make something for my kids to eat for breakfast that was a little nutritious, that had whole grains and protein in it, and this recipe hits all the spots. It's made with oat flour, which has a lot of whole grain. It also is made with almond butter, which has a lot of protein. Keep them full until they get to lunch at school. My oldest son is my pickiest eater. My youngest will eat anything. And my oldest son approves of this recipe, so I hope that your kids like it too. So you're gonna preheat an oven to 350 degrees, and I'm gonna start mixing my dry ingredients first, and then I'll move on to my wet ingredients. So for dry ingredients, you're gonna need 1 cup of oat flour. I have bought some oat flour. You can find it with many of the other baked goods in the grocery store these days. Usually there's also a, if you can't find it with the regular baked goods, if you look with the natural foods, like where Bob's Red Mill kind of stuff is, they have an oat flour that's awesome. If you can't find it, don't fret. If you have a food processor, all you need is rolled oats, and you can just toss them in there, process them until they turn into a fine flour. You can use that. You don't have to buy the flour. So I have a cup of oat flour. I'm going to use a cup of all-purpose flour right here, and then we're going to need 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar. This is a 1/4 cup, so I'm going to do 3. All right. Now I'm going to need 2 teaspoons of baking soda. I like to keep all my stuff in these containers. It just makes it easier to scoop out whatever you need, especially baking soda. Trying to get baking soda out of those boxes is impossible, so that's why I have them in these little containers. Also, with my flour and sugar, I like to keep them in glass containers because I can see how much I have and if I need to get more. All right, then we're going to need 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt to it for our dry ingredients. So I'm going to mix it all together with a whisk just to kind of break up some of those lumps and clumps. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I will move on to my wet ingredients. For my wet ingredients, I'm going to need 1 cup of buttermilk. You don't have to use buttermilk. It makes it a little bit more moist. You could certainly use regular milk. 1 cup of buttermilk, 1/3 of a cup of peanut or canola oil. So I'm going to measure that. I like to mix everything in a big glass Pyrex. Just makes less things to clean. All right, then you're going to need 1/4 of a cup of almond butter. All right, we have a 1/4 cup of almond butter. That's gonna go in there. And then we're gonna need 2 eggs. All right, I'm gonna break up 1 and 2. Perfect. Now I'm just going to mix this together with my whisk that I used earlier. We're going to get it all nice and combined, and then we'll mix it in with our dry ingredients. Mix that all together. Doesn't have to be perfectly mixed. You don't want to over mix it. Now I need to add in 1/2 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips, and I'm going to save some for the top, and I'll show you that and why. Just mix those in. Okay, we're ready to put it into our muffin cups. All right, we're going to fill each cup with some batter. So I reserve a few chocolate chips for the end so that I can go through and put a couple of chocolate chips in each one. So when these bake, that chocolate will be on top and you know exactly what kind of muffin you're getting. So I just press them in. Okay, that looks good to me. Now these are going to go in the oven at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes. Usually when I'm letting my muffins cool, I sometimes will go through and just kind of rotate them so that as they cool, they don't stick to the pan and they come out a lot easier. It's just a little trick. Also, they have a bunch of non-stick muffin pans now. I highly recommend. They're awesome. These muffins came out of the oven. They're perfectly brown. You can still see that they're chocolate chip because you put those extra ones on top. Pull it open. They are so light and fluffy. They're just crisp where they were on the pan. And the inside is just, it's so moist. It's almost like eating a cloud. That's how light and fluffy they are. That's what I love about it. Muffins can be really dense and thick. And these aren't like that at all. I hope that your kids love them. You love them. Enjoy!